order. What time is it? 6:33. I'd like to start the meeting if James give us an invocation.
Let us pray. Oh Lord our God, how great you are. We thank you for blessing us with this day. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to come to this meeting. We ask for your blessings and your help as we gather together. Guide those that will speak and those that will listen. May we find common ground as human beings. And may what we say and do be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. For it is in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ, we ask it all. Amen.
Okay, next item on the agenda is consider an act on the minutes of the previous meeting. Did everyone get copies of the minutes in the email? We have a motion made by Deanna Drab that we accept the meeting.
Second.
James Smith, second. Billy.
On the minutes, of course, I'm the one that's complaining. I failed to put the number of
Speaker.
yeah,
We have use of the microphone, that all of us can hear.
Yes, sir. Fine.
Might want to turn it on too, right? In our website, we have had X amount of people fill out survey forms, and I failed to put that in the minutes. A reminder for myself to get that stated in the minutes in our last 3 meetings. That's my only correction for myself.
And a correction to that is we do not have a website. We have
What do we
an
call it?
email account.
Email account, thank you very much.
We have a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting, and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Once again, and I'll be doing this at every meeting, this commission was formed by the county commissioners to gather information about the Confederate statue at the courthouse. We are not a decision-making group. We're just here to gather information, and in November we'll report back to the Commissioners Court and give them what we think should be done.
And just to add to that, we probably won't be answering questions, but we'll just take your opinion and file it so we can turn it in to the commissioners. So it won't be like a question and answer session.
Okay. Next, and this should not take too long. We need to look at the change in the commission meeting schedule. Right now, we got 8 meetings in a row. In reality, we should not have had a meeting this week. We did not have time to get all the stuff that we approved from the last meeting, forms printed, the building set up, had some problems with the church here and trying to get someone here. There was a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff that had to be done, and we just kind of ran out of time. So I would like to make a proposal that we change our 8 meetings to 4 commission meetings, September 8th, September 22nd, October 6th, October 20th. In other words, that's like every other week. November the 3rd was election day, so I don't think we should have a meeting that day. November 10th, we could have our resolution meeting. There would be no public speaking at that meeting. Any comments?
I make a motion that we take it from 8 to 4.
I have a motion made by Joy Weaver, second by James Smith, that we change from 8 to 4. I think Billy had a conversation piece or discussion. Motion is we change from 8 to 4 for the county commission. We still have precinct commissions, meetings. All in favor of changing from 8 to 4, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So the next meeting will be September the 22nd, October 6th, October 20th, and I suggest November the 10th.
Sir, if our deadline is the 10th, why would we wait until the 10th? If you recall, the commissioners have asked us to have the information in by the 10th. So perhaps we could make an exception to the 4 meetings
Sure.
and meet a week prior so that we can be on time for
That
their
is
schedule.
November the 3rd, election day, unless you want to change the date.
Could we choose another date, or will we pin,
We
do we
can-
want to pin that
That's,
for another concern at a later time?
I've got no problem with that. It's just, we need to coordinate to find us a place to meet on a particular day. You know, Wednesdays are out.
Do we want to put in?
Okay, we've got time to cover that, so
So, we'll
several
note the
weeks.
minutes as such.
We can come up with going from the 10th to the whatever.
We'll note the minutes as such.
I was thinking, we had to make a presentation on the 20th, not the 10th.
I remember the 10th, but I'm not sure about the 20th. I've got
Second,
information with me.
second.
I can certainly look at the records.
No, the deal was we made a presentation by the 20th of November.
I'll certainly take a look at the
James.
records. I don't remember the dates.
I'm not for sure about the 20th, I don't recall seeing that. But I would suggest that we look at maybe the 7th, it's a Monday. I don't know if that conflicts with anybody. Since the election day is on the 3rd, which is Tuesday, we could finalize everything that Monday, if we have a place to meet.
If there's no objection, I
Hear me?
will. If there's no objection, I will note in the minutes that we will discuss the 7th possible date. Can everyone hear me? Got a pretty big mouth. Everyone hear me? I'll make a note that we might take a look
Yeah,
at the
that-
7th.
That,
No
that
objection.
date is fine. And you are correct. They want it by November the 10th. I looked back in the notes. That was my mistake. So, we can put back in new business or something. Again, all the precinct meetings should be set up by the 15th. In our last meeting, we said they would report back at the meeting on the 15th. We're not having a meeting on the 15th, but we still need that information sent back into myself and JC and Billy so we can coordinate with the other people. And I would recommend that all the precinct meetings should be done by the 29th of October or somewhere in there. That's pretty close to the 1st of November. Those are recommendations.
I reached out to the judge, and he was saying that as far as those locations go, I know we talked about assigning someone to find those locations as far as in each precinct. He said to revert back to the co-chairs as far as location of those town halls.
Okay, what I would say about that, if you can find a place, and I think I talked about this the last time, that we need to go through our commissioners. I think you need to go through your commissioners and let them see if they can set a place for you. And you have to give them the date, but let them set a place for you, because the county will have to provide everything, security, whatever. It's going to have to go through the county. So if you get a hold of your commissioner, it'd probably be a lot easier to set it than you just going out trying to set a date. Now, it may be easy on some people to go do it themselves, but for me, it's easy for me to go to my commissioner.
I tell you what, James, I will send, still on Zoom? I will send email to all the 4 commissioners with your request and see what we get back. And I'll get back with everybody on that. I'll do that tomorrow.
I did speak with Mike Hunt. I did speak with him, And, he is coordinating with me as far as location-wise, but I was just supplying the information that came from the judge, Judge Rich, what he said. No, I mean, Richards, sorry, what he said, okay? But to go along with the idea, what Billy was talking about, still going from eight meetings down to 4, but having an additional meeting in there. How are we going to, as far as, are we to, each precinct going to supply the dates of their town halls to the committee? As far as those go?
That was our understanding last week, that they would have that done by the 15th.
Okay.
The schedules.
Okay.
And here again, we're rushing all this stuff. November is not really long enough time to do all this properly.
Okay.
Let me send something out to the commissioners tomorrow and just tell them we want 2 or 3 meetings, and can they come up with a location and suggest dates, or do we want to keep it on a Tuesday or whatever?
I would suggest that maybe it's not wise to set it up a particular date at this time. Once we go to the commissioner, then you could, whatever date is convenient for you, you could tell the commissioner this is the date you're looking at, and they can look at their calendar to make sure that they'll be able to take care of that date for you. That's what I would suggest. Yeah, did you have something?
Well,
I was just going to say, at our last meeting, we decided that the coordinators of each precinct were to get with the precinct commissioners and decide on when we were going to have each of those quote-unquote town halls.
That is correct.
And we left it up pretty much to each precinct to decide when was best for them.
Right, and I think James had discussion with the Judge Richards, and he threw the co-chairs back under the bus again. So, let me try this. I'll send all the commissioners email and say the coordinators for Precinct 1 are James Henderson, Precinct 2, Patricia Demps and Scott Reagan, 3, Joy Weaver, 4, be Billy Henderson, and tell him these are the people that will be contacting you for more additional information. That'd be okay, Jane? And I think, well, Billy volunteered for that precinct, but Billy's been working herself to death, I think, so she needs a little bit of a break.
Okay, we now have co-chairs, Deanna and I. Right, Deanna?
Good.
Talk about under the bus.
Okay, we'll pick up in new business. We'll discuss further on the precinct meetings, but right now, and we'll discuss that November meeting also. So, moving right along, the floor will be now open to public speakers to address the commission. We'll be looking for speaker number 1, Kay Sesson.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and start.
Okay. Commission members, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Kay Sisson, and I live in the city of Kaufman. Contrary to what people are saying, that the Veterans Monument is a symbol of slavery and hatred, in reality, the opposite is true. My great-grandfather, Judge James A. Cooley, who was an outstanding and well-respected leader of Kaufman County, was one of the men who gave the money to purchase the statue, not to show hatred, but in honor of his father, who was killed in the Civil War when my great-grandfather was just a small boy. To put this issue into a modern context, if a group said that Vietnam was an unpopular war and that we didn't win, and they didn't like looking at the Vietnam Memorial Wall so it should be torn down, it would be a slap in the face to all Vietnam veterans who fought valiantly and have the scars to prove it. Not to mention to the families of the soldiers who died there. Regardless of which side or what war, honoring veterans is always appropriate. I hope you will suggest to the county commissioners that they repair the monument and leave it on the square. It's already been vandalized at least twice in that highly public place, and to move it anywhere else would be a death sentence for the monument, I feel. We cannot change history, but we can let history be history and move on. Perhaps some sort of plaque could be placed beside the monument explaining that it was erected out of love and respect for veterans and that slavery and racism have no place in society. That way, both sides could be represented. The old soldier has been guarding our courthouse for over 100 years, and it's my hope that he can continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be speaker number 2. I believe that's Raylene Sloan. Is that correct?
Go ahead and start when you're ready.
All right, good evening. My name is Raylene Sloan. I'm a resident of Precinct 1. I thank the committee for allowing me the opportunity to address you this evening. I am a child of the Confederacy. My ancestors fought in the Civil War, and I imagine they fought bravely and well. But I hope that if they found themselves here today, that they would say that fighting to keep men and women and children in slavery was an unconscionable mistake, one that they were ashamed to have made. I hope that they would say they did not need or want a statue erected to glorify their choice. Much talk has been made about honoring history over the past weeks and months, but I'm sure all of us would agree that not all history is worthy of the same respect. We pick and we choose the most honorable parts of our history to revere. Is slavery truly the part of our history that we are the most proud of? That statue sitting in a place of honor seems to say that in Kaufman County it is. I am aware that moving this statue from the front of our courthouse will not change the injustices our black citizens have endured and continue to endure. It will not change history. It will not right the wrongs. It will not change the hearts of those who have no sympathy for our neighbors and those who mock pain that they have never experienced. But our alternative is to tell our fellow citizens to wait, to tell them that they should not be bothered, to tell them that change might come one day, but that it is a process, to tell them that sometime in the future their standing might improve, to tell them that when more generations pass, maybe their grievances will be addressed, to tell them that we cannot do anything now, but someday, maybe someone will. They have been waiting and waiting. Their parents waited, their grandparents waited, their great-grandparents waited, and yet here we all are, insisting that they should continue to wait. No, moving the statue will not stop prejudice or intolerance or injustice, but we have to start somewhere. This is our chance to follow in the words said long before this country even existed, to do to others what we would have them do to us, to treat other people the way we want to be treated, and that is a history of which we can be proud.
Thank you. Next is speaker number 3, Joseph Huffmaster. Is that correct?
Go ahead when you're ready.
Joseph Huffmaster, a 182-year-old Kaufman County lawyer. I look pretty good for that age, don't I? Not a day over 100, right? I'm the man who put the monument up. I'm also known as Rob Jones, and I am actually a lawyer. I've been retained by a number of individuals in Kaufman County to speak on their behalf on this issue. I also represent the Texas Division Sons of Confederate Veterans, who is actually the owner of the cenotaph. I was asked by those clients to bring to you a perspective that you may not have heard or thought about from the actual veterans themselves, from the men who put the monument up. I'm going to read you the petition applying for the county's permission to put the monument up. On behalf of the ex-Confederate soldiers and citizens of Kaufman County, the undersigned respectfully represents that it is the purpose of our people to erect a monument of Texas granite to commemorate the patriotism and deeds of valor of the Confederate soldier. And it is their wish and desire that said monument shall be placed in the courthouse yard on the east side of the same. The sacrifices and achievements and gallant services of the Confederate soldiers of 1861-65 are now part of the history of our common country. The President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, in a public speech at Louisville in 1905, stated that, quote, "The heroic bravery and devotion to duty of the Confederate soldier displayed in fighting for what he believed was right, were as much a history of heritage worthy to the American people as were the heroic bravery and devotion to duty of the Federal soldier in fighting for what he believed was right. This heritage of worth to the American people we propose to perpetuate in enduring marvel. The Federal soldier has his monument already erected by the lavish hand of the federal government. We are putting up ours by private contributions and in the hope that it will stand forever as an inspiration to duty and patriotism to all those who shall come after us. The work will soon commence, and we therefore ask the court that leave be granted to place said monument at the place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Speaker number 4, is that Jimmy Weaver? Okay, you have the floor.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Weaver.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm Jimmy Weaver, Kaufman County Republican Party Chairman. Recent primary election on March 3rd, 2020, passed a resolution on our ballot with an approval rating of over 97%. That was Texas, statewide, and Kaufman County individually. The same resolution was recently put on our party platform, number 315, protect all monuments and statues in the state of Texas. That resolution was also placed on the governor's legislative priority list at number 6 to become law. Kaufman County Voters Memorial, currently in question, was dedicated to veterans in 1906 for serving between 1861 and 1865. Even though these veterans served during a time of civil war and served a state that was a member of the Confederate Union of States, they were still soldiers and family members of Texas citizens. This monument states that 1861, 1865, and that they were ordered to serve the Confederate Army. All other language tells only reverence to the soldiers, their home, and that their souls to rest in peace. I am a military veteran and believe that all citizens should hold respect for a soldier for his sacrifice, not the battle he was ordered to fight. This monument is a physical display of free speech by the veterans, families, and citizens of Kaufman County, and should be protected by the same constitutional law that protects the people who view it as a Confederate symbol. Removing monuments in this country, no matter the subject, will not stop. And as an example, the Alamo Cenotaph, the Military Christian Cross in California, and many others that have no relevance to the Civil War, between the states, and that all are under attack for removal. This removal activity is a national effort sponsored by insurrectionists with a radical agenda to divide our nation and citizens. Please do not surrender and remove this monument and any other historical monument that depicts our history regardless of its reference, so that we are always reminded of the good and the bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be speaker number 5. I believe it's Russ Martin. Is that correct, sir?
Russ Martin, currently of Rockwall, Texas, formerly of Terrell, Texas. My wife and I were there for 9 years. During all of those 9 years, I served in the local National Guard unit in Terrell. We worked, our soldiers worked with the Kaufman, City of Kaufman, had the Alpha Company, 1st of the 112th Armor, at their National Guard. We were all good National Guardsmen soldiers, and we enjoyed what we did, but we always knew that we would be subject to being called to deploy or go to war, to do what the government asked us to do. That never happened with us. But had it happened, and we had possibly suffered great casualties, and our families had suffered great privations, such as what the members of the Kaufman County Confederate soldiers endured. We would have thought it appropriate to have a memorial to remember our duties that we properly fulfilled. And if years later, if that monument, cenotaph, whatever it happened to be, was to be removed, we wouldn't like that. We would have objected had we still been alive, and asked that the memorial to our fallen soldiers be left in place. Obviously, I'm referring to keeping the memorial that exists now in Kaufman for the county guys that volunteered and did a good job for a cause that may or may not have been what people believe in, but they were called to do their duty. They did it, and they served honorably to fulfill their duty. And that's all that monument means. There's two kinds of monuments and statues that are being looked at very closely these days. Maybe I can stand up a little better here. One of the types of monuments is like General Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jefferson Davis, the guys that pushed the Confederacy to do what they did. And then there's the memorials like ours here in Kaufman. It's just...
Time, sir.
It's just for the soldiers that served. Thank you for your time, and let's keep the monument where it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.